thank you for letting me teach this class. I really have enjoyed it. And if you at all feel led in that direction, I can't encourage you enough. I have felt so encouraged by all of you coming up, and I know I'm not the best teacher in the world, but I've learned so much by doing this. And if it's something that you want to do, man, do it. It's woman, do it. So today we're going to talk about a little bit of finances can be tough, they really can, especially if you've got lots of debt or you don't have the money at the end of the month to do what you feel you need to do, or you can't give what you want to give. And, I've been there. We grew up, we were talking to our mom not too long ago about I would not change my family, my parents, for anything in the world for two reasons. One, God gave them to me. So I know that they were the perfect choice for me. And two, they make us who we are. Yes, we have choices as adults to change things, but what you grow up in makes you, it can help define who you are. And so we grew up in a very, very, very poor home. We went to church for our clothes. We got food from the church. I think Brenda and I both have told the story about when we were kids one time. It was Thanksgiving and there was going to be no food. And we got a box on our front step that we knew that this was the difference between having Thanksgiving. I mean, you can always have Thanksgiving, but we didn't have anything to eat other than that. So, yes, there were a lot of kids of us and, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to look at this. We may or may not finish today because I really have a lot for us to go through. And if we don't, I know you're just so lucky you're going to have me again next week. Anyway. There we go. Okay, so these are just sort of some of the things that we're going to look at. I gave you a sheet. Is there anybody who needs another sheet? Okay, if you could pass those around, Melinda. Some of them are not, there's 3 sheets to each thing, each packet. Some of them are not stapled, some of them are. Okay. And sorry, those who came in late don't have a verse to read. I know, terrible, isn't it? If we need more, I do have the original and we can go make some more copies, but. There might be one person that doesn't have one, and I've got the original right here, so you can use this one.
I think we have this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, she's making copies.
Okay, got it. Okay, so the first sheet I gave you is, if you do not already have a budget, this is something to sort of help you along that way. And sometimes a budget is really hard because if you've got a budget written down, that means you should follow the budget, right? And where does your money go? And I've often had, when I'm buying something and I pay cash for whatever, or even on a card, and they say, do you want a receipt? And I'm like, yeah, because if I get home, I'm going to wonder where that $36 went. So do you have to do this now? No, not at all. Unless, you're looking at this and going, okay, well, I know what my mortgage or rent is, so I can go ahead and put that in. I know what my car, all those kinds of things. If you want to do that, fine. What I am going to ask, though, and you don't have to use this form, but this is one that you can use, is that if you don't already have a budget, try to fill it out by next Sunday. Not for me. I'm not going to collect it. I'm not going to even look at it. It is for you. So if you choose not to do it, I will get the Board of Education out. No, I'm kidding. That's what Cody calls Brenda's school paddle or principal paddle. But these are some things that you might want to look at. The garbage, electric, natural gas, water, automobile gas, because it's a different thing. All these things. Think about entertainment. When do you eat out? Miscellaneous expenses, deodorant and all those lovely things. Also quarterly or biannual, every half year. Medical expenses, whatever they are. Okay, this one I do want you to do, but I put the budget on top of it so you can hide your answers. Because these are for you, not for anybody else, okay? And each one of those squares is a different pole, okay? So the first, whoa, my bad. Poles, oh, there it is, okay. How many coffees does everybody have a pen or a pencil? No.
Are there some under the podium?
Yes, here's pens or pencils. Who needed some?
You're welcome.
Anybody need them? There you go. I can pass them around. Thank you.
For just ourselves?
What's that?
Like how many copies for just ourselves?
If you spend them on the kids, it's money.
And do lotuses count as coffee?
What's a lotus?
Carmen, not if you make it at home.
How many do you buy? So go through the little coffee hut and buy a coffee, okay? Or a tea or whatever you buy, a lotus, whatever that is. All those things. Okay, how often do you eat out each week or month? And you can put a slash between them, week or, some people go twice a month, so you wouldn't count it for each, those kind of things. This is for you. This is not for me. I'm not looking at this. How much do you spend on impulse buying things per week? You go in this, oh my goodness, that candy bar sure does look good. Or man, I'd love to have that muffin or cinnamon roll or
The cheap bags at the grocery store.
whatever you want it to include.
Copies as well from earlier?
It's whatever you want it to be. You guys are much more exact than I am.
For that decor thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was going to stop and buy a soda on the way home. Now I'm going to
Well, it's not impulse if you decide ahead of time.
Not impulse if you've already got it. But maybe you do have it in the budget or maybe you don't have it in the budget. Do you have a budget? Do you already have a budget? The second unto that, so you can put a big slash through the square. I meant to do it and I forgot. Do you follow your budget? This is, cover it up with the first sheet if you don't want anybody to see it. Do you give, number 6, do you give a percentage of your income, a random amount, or whatever's left over, or maybe whatever's left over is whatever's in your wallet at the moment? Whatever. Okay?
Another way of saying that might be, do you plan ahead of what you're going to do?
Yes, yes. And again, guys, I'm not judging. I'm just wanting you to think about them. Examine yourself. That is it. Have you ever taken, number 7, have you ever taken a financial planning class? Whether through the church or through, whatever. Maybe you took one in high school, maybe you took one in college, whatever. You use whatever parameters on that you want. Number 8, the first part of this might be, do you have an emergency budget? Like if the dishwasher goes out or the washer dryer or the stove. The freezer on my refrigerator just went down, so. How much is your emergency budget? And number 9, ouch, how much debt do you have? And I'm not really thinking house debt, but you could include auto debt, credit card debt, medical debt, whatever. You do, what is that?
Aunt being buried.
Aunt. Except where there's an amount. I should have put a $sign in there, right? Okay, again, nobody's looking at this unless you share it with them. It's just for you to think about, to contemplate, whatever. And, guys, I get it. Finances can be hard. They really can. So, let's look a little bit at the power of planning. Have you ever taken a financial planning class? Now, I will tell you this. I did several years ago. I think Brenda may have even encouraged me to do it. But, and she was taking it too, so it wasn't like it was just me. But this was the class that we took. How many of you have heard of Dave Ramsey? How many of you have taken a Dave Ramsey class? Some of you. This was the first time, honestly, that I had taken a look at how, why, where. And some of the why of it is because that's how I grew up. Or maybe it's because I just got to have that cup of coffee, or whatever it is. So, no, I do not buy. What?
I said, you don't even drink coffee.
No, I don't. But, it was, now, Dave Ramsey is not the only one that's out there. I loved it, though, because it's from a Christian perspective. And it literally was life-changing to me. The baby step, well, hello, it would help if I go to the right slide again. Okay. The baby steps that Dave Ramsey teaches are first, and you'll see, the steps are meant to be followed in order, one at a time, to create momentum and financial freedom. And I will tell you this, I have no debt now. I don't have any credit cards. I have debit cards. I have money in the bank, but I have no debt. And it is so freeing. I built my house as I could pay for it. If I couldn't pay for it, you know what? We don't do it yet, kind of thing. It is incredibly freeing. You can take whatever job you want. You can move wherever you want. You can, whatever it is that you need to do, that God is calling you. Patricia, you need to go to Cambodia. Well, I can go to Cambodia because I don't have any debt. Those kinds of things. It is incredible what this plan has allowed me to do in my life. Pay off your debt, accept your house. These are back to those baby steps. using the debt snowball method. Now, the reason that's in red is because it's a link, but basically you can just go look up Dave Ramsey. What's it called? Well, you can look up debt snowball, or you can just look up baby steps. Yeah, Dave Ramsey baby steps, and it will bring you to that. But you start with, let's say I've got a credit card that's got $120 on it. I pay that one off first. I pay the minimum on the others. I pay that one off first. Oh, now I only have 6 credit cards or whatever it is. And then you go to the next smallest one and you pay it off. As much as you can put on it, you do that. Yes.
Just got a quick question.
Yes.
I've always heard you should pay off the highest debt ones first.
There's a lot of back and forth, but the reason he says pay off the smallest one is so that you get that, yes, I paid off one of my cards. And that's the reason he says that. Another thing you might want to look at is which one has the highest percentage interest. Yes, yes. We,
I think that Financial Peace University, offered by Dave Ramsey for free, understands the psychology of people and implements that beyond the math, right? So financially, we know that paying off a 20% credit card is financially to your advantage, but if you don't stick to that program, it means nothing. And
Right.
so this program, it includes the mental fortitude and health to allow you to be successful.
and he talks a lot about that in this class.
There are other parts of this program that encourage you to change behaviors on how you spend money. It doesn't tell you how to spend money. It gives you guidelines so that you can set your own boundaries.
Exactly.
And setting your own boundaries and reducing your opportunity for impulse spending is how it's like taking the Cheetos out of the cupboard, right? It's like, it's removing those temptations. So,
Yeah. You know, another thing on that, though, is you can leave your credit cards at home. Hello? And somebody one time said to me, take your credit cards or whatever it is that you are tempted to use, put them in a thing of put a container in the freezer and let it freeze. Put the credit card on there, put more water on top, because otherwise it's just going to float to the top. And freeze it.
I have to put my phone in there because I have to put
Yes. Well, with how easy it is, oh my goodness, pull that out of my pocket. Here I am at home, haven't left the house in 3 days. I can put that card in there and I just spent a lot of money. It's very easy these days. But the idea is to change your thinking, how you look at things. So up there at the top, we saved $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. And you don't touch it. It's not for coffee. That's not an emergency. It's not for, it's the freezer went out on my refrigerator. I need a new refrigerator. Or there are other things. But anyway, then the third step, I didn't put numbers. But anyway, expand your emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of living expenses. I will tell you this. At one point, that was a total lifesaver for me because I lost my job because I won't go into the political part of it, but anyway, and I did not have a job for 2 years. That hurt as a single person. I didn't have 2 years worth, but I did have some. And I was able to get up here with my mom and dad and they helped, blah, blah, blah. Invest 15% of your household income, meaning, if you're a family, husband, wife, or whatever, you can invest that. One thing I will say on that, on all of this, teach your kids. I dearly, dearly love my mom and dad, but they did not teach us, you taught them. They did not teach us any they never said anything about what we do with money, where it goes, so if we wanted to spend money, it's like, okay, Mom, can we buy? And it was always no. but it was, we didn't know there was no money there.
No,
So-
it wasn't always no, it's you go out and get a job and earn the money and then you can spend it.
Yes, I will say this. Brenda had the most amazing philosophy with her kids. Now, a lot of her kids were foster kids and then adopted kids. But that's why she has 8 kids. But I used to hear her kids, Mom, I want to go to the football game. Can I clean your bathroom? Can I do your clothes? Can I clean the kitchen? It was like, shoot, yeah, baby, go do whatever. I'll pay for you to go to the game if you do my dishes or whatever, But she taught her kids the value of money by that.
And, you need to teach them too, as far as a budget, because I remember one time, we when the kids were still little, our son said, and we were like, well, we don't have the money for that. He said, well, just write a check. And we that's when we wrote a check. I said, well, no, look, okay, there's no money in the checking account to cover
The check.
The idea was just write a check.
Yes. Then it says, this is one of those steps. It says, save for your children's college. Well, I don't have any kids, so I'm not just paying a random kid's college. So I put optional on that one. And then pay off your home mortgage early. And then it's so that once you've done all of these steps, you are out of debt. Now, instead of paying, $200, $300, $400, $500, whatever it is you're paying for credit cards, you can now build wealth with that. Not to build wealth per se, but to have more to give. And that's one of the things, now I meant to look it up. Dave Ramsey says, he says something about live, I can't remember how it goes.
Live like no other so you can give like no other.
Live like no other, so you can give like no other. And man, that is the power of being able to give. When I grew up as the one who always had to accept, the power of that is absolutely beyond any. That's the blessing that God gave me through this, is to be able to give like no other. Now, probably not those who have a lot more than I do, but you get the idea. Okay. 1 Timothy, whoops, I'm on the wrong slide. Okay, so the key principles: debt snowball, pay it off. Budgeting, use a budget, okay? Know where every dollar in your budget is going. And if that means you can't give up the coffee, I know I'm fixated on this and I don't even drink coffee. But you know why I am? Is because I've seen people spend $60, $70 a week on coffee. It's like, oh my word, go buy a fancy coffee machine and make it at home. It kills me. Consistency. The plan emphasizes staying consistent. Just like anything else we do, we need to be consistent with it. Whether it's owning a small business, it's reading our Bible, it's praying, it's going to church, it's, everything, how we raise our kids consistently. If one day you're raising your kids and this is a horrible thing that you've done, and the next day it's like, oh, I can't be bothered with it right now, whatever. It's like, no, you've got to be consistent with your kids. I know I'm off on another subject, but anyway. Baby Steps Millionaire. One of the things I also learned in the Dave Ramsey class was to invest from the very, very beginning as a kid. That very first job that you get, when you have no expenses, encourage your kiddos to put 50% of that. Yeah, you can go play, or more. You can go play with 50%. I mean, you got a job, you should be able to do something with it, but have them put and watch it grow. You know, you put 50% of your income, then when you get out on your own, and yes, you have to pay expenses, et cetera, blah, but you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute, I've got to save. I want to keep seeing that grow. You know, okay, I know I'm lecturing, but I don't mean to do that, but okay. Whoops. Hello. Something's not going here. So, why does all of this matter? Sorry, it's not going. There we go. Why does all of this matter? When it comes right down to it, our money is not ours. It is a tool that we have been given that we need to be responsible with. It is something we need to do. It's not something we just, I've got enough money. I really don't need to have a budget. I give when something. No, it's God's money. You need to be responsible with it. He's given it to you. You know, you think of the guys with the talents, the 3, 5, and whatever they are. And God rewards those who multiply what he gave them. Who, even if you just put it in the bank and let it multiply, you know. Anyway, I'm trying to do both of these because I can't read this one. So that's why I keep going back and forth. Okay. What does the Bible say about money? And we are not even going to have time to read all those verses I gave you. Managing money, avoiding debt, giving generously, and building wealth. Again, not so we can be millionaires, but so that we can do what God wants us to do with our money. Okay?
Can you at least tell us the verses since they won't be read?
Yes, I will. Well, we'll do them next week.
Okay.
So, let's go ahead and read the first 2 or 3 of them, and then we'll have to end. So, what the Bible says about planning. Luke 14, 28 to 30. Who has that one? Somebody should. Okay, excellent.
Luke 14. For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, "This man began to build and was not able to finish."
Now, you read that and you're going, but Patricia, you built yours. It's like, I knew I would have the money, God willing, but I planned it that way. You know, I build more as I had more. So, Proverbs 27, 23, and 24. Okay.
Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds. For riches do not last forever, and does a crown endure to all generations.
Proverbs 21, 20.
Me. If one curses his father or his mother, his lamp will be put out in utter darkness. That's wrong. That's in the Bible, but that's not the right verse.
Okay.
Whoever pursues righteousness and kindness will find life, righteousness, and honor. Is that right?
Well,
No,
no.
still not right.
It's this is it. So read it up here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's funny. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but the foolish man devours all he has.
And what that makes me think of is, oh, there's food. Let's just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. You know, oh, let's have guests over. We've got tons of food. Let's eat till it's all gone. And you don't have anything to buy new. Or you don't plan for the future is probably more accurate. You know, because we've talked about, I have food stores in my house. I have a nice pantry and I love it. And I felt guilty about that at times. But I'm like, you know what? This seems to indicate to me that that's okay. You know? Proverbs 13:16, and I'll find out what that verse is actually supposed to be.
Every prudent man acts with knowledge, but a fool flaunts his folly.
Don't flaunt it. Whoops. Okay, Luke 6, we'll just read a couple of these. Luke 16, 10, and 11.
Okay, me too.
Okay,
16, 10, and 11. One who is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much, and one who is dishonest in a very little is also dishonest in much. If then you have not been faithful in the unrighteous wealth, who will entrust to you the true riches?
Matthew 25, 20, and 21.
So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 talents to the Lord, brought 5 other talents to the Lord, saying, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents beside them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord.
So if we're faithful with our money, if we do what we really know that God wants us doing, He will bless us. He does bless us. Okay, Proverbs 11:1.
I've been looking at different versions.
Okay,
I have my phone lagging, but I'm going to stick with the NIRV.
okay.
The Lord hates it when people use scales to cheat others, but He is delighted when people use honest weights.
Be honest in your finances. What that makes me think of is you go through the line with the cashier and she gives you back, maybe it's only 15 cents, but maybe it's $15. I've had them make huge mistakes at times. It's like she is going to be in trouble at the end of the day. Be honest. It's not your money. James 5:4.
Behold, the wages of the laborers who mowed your fields, which you kept back by fraud, are crying out against you, and the cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord of hosts.
So I looked up, just did a search on what we deserve. What do we deserve in life? Our wages. We deserve eternal punishment, honestly, but we deserve our wages. If you work, you deserve to get your wages. Okay? We'll do these last two and then 1 Timothy 5:8.
But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever.
Very good. Ecclesiastes 11:2.
Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land.
Prepare. All right. I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some encouragement. How many of you do have a budget? Good. Sort of. Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of there too. And I know following it might be another issue, right? All right. We will finish up. We will do more financing next week. And you can keep your verse. If you're here, you can read it. If not, that's okay. We'll be good. You're very welcome. Thank you, Annie.
Phone number?
Yeah.
And your name.
All right. There you go. Thank you.
It's already on the as long as you're not gonna text
Guys, there are more notebooks, so if anybody didn't get one more, to my honest means that everyone all wants to change it, yeah.
So I've been getting updates from my grandpa's been really low energy. It's hard to be. Just have to sit down and wait. It's really exhausting. I started taking a shower. I learned how to I don't.
Very much. And I
This was
maybe I will.
Well, it didn't go through. That's where the one was pressing. Okay, I'm like, it didn't break. Yeah, so this. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hey, girl, I am at church right now. Can you call me in about an hour?